I am now going to teach you the English style of knitting. There's two ways of doing the knit stitch. One is the English, which has the yarn on the tail in your right hand. That's also called the throw method. And the other method is continental knitting, which is where you hold the yarn in your left hand and you pick at the stitches. For a beginner, I recommend learning the English method first. I'm demonstrating on circular needles. Okay, so you want the yarn behind your right needle. Your cast-on row is going to be in your left hand. What you're first going to do is I recommend holding the needle with the stitches on it in your left hand firmly and have your pointer finger on the first stitch. You can see, and I've already knit 2 rows, that there is a ridge. I like to line them up. And before you start knitting any row, I always recommend counting, especially for beginners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 stitches on the needle. In order to do the first knit stitch, you go in front of this ridge with your right needle, and you make a cross with the right needle behind and the left needle in front. Hold the 2 needles together with your pointer finger and your middle finger of your left hand. In order to do knitting the English style, you do have to let go of the right needle. You take the yarn, wrap it around the back needle, and only the back needle, so it goes between the 2 needles. Then you slide the left needle up so that the new stitch stays on. That's where I crossed it between. You make it so now the right needle's in front of the left, and then you drop it off. Okay, so let's do it again really slowly. Okay, so you have the cross, nothing between the needles. You wrap it on the right needle, going counterclockwise. You slide the left needle up so that the right needle goes from behind to in front, and then you slide it off. This is another rhyme that can be helpful. Knock on the front door, around to the back, peep through the window, and off comes Jack. So whatever works for you, if you have your own little rhyme to say to remember how to do the knit stitch, that works as well. So I'm going to work the rest of the stitches on this row very slowly so you can see and practice along. In front of the ridge, right needle goes in back, you made a cross, hold them with your pointer and your middle finger, wrap the back needle or the right needle, however you want to look at it. So the yarn's right there. Make sure that does not drop off. You can hold that down with your right hand. Right needle is now in front, and then you allow it to drop off. And keep in mind my left hand is always holding that first stitch so it doesn't drop off. It's not the end of the world if it does, but you want to avoid mistakes early on. Okay. Now that we're done with the row, you can see that all the stitches are on your right needle and your left needle is free. In order to start the next row, you need to simply switch hands. Okay. When you do this, the yarn comes in front of the right needle. You want the needle, the right needle, and the left needle in front of that yarn or the tail end. And of course, before we start the new, we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. And as you can see, when you're doing the knit stitch correctly, you should have these ridges. You know you're knitting correctly when you have the ridges and you maintain the same counting. I'm going to do one more row. Some people claim that the English style of knitting, where you have the yarn in your right hand, is slower than the continental method. It just depends. There are many styles of knitting. Those are the 2 most prominent. However, there's also a Portuguese style of knitting. Basically, any region in the world that you may be in, there could be a different style of knitting. So, knock on the front door, around through the back, peep through the window, and off comes Jack. And as you can see, it keeps getting longer. Okay? So you can't do too much with a 10-stitch swatch, especially with worsted weight on about a size 10 needle as I have. But if you were to cast on 20 stitches, you could make a coaster. That could be something for a scarf, and that's always a great project for a beginning knitter. Just simply a knit stitch, coaster, scarf. You could also do a dishcloth with that, or a washcloth, all very easy projects. And that is one of the 2 stitches for knitting. Hope you enjoyed it.